This one's going to be very interesting as well. Obviously, there's high stakes, a lot on the line for both of these teams, in particular Paris as well. Paris really going to be gunning for this win here to get a chance to play in the knockouts this upcoming Sunday.
Yeah, both of these teams, actually, it's really important for them because the Gladiators, I think, would love to rebound after that early dip that we saw in the main melee. Remember that this team's expectations were through the roof coming into this season. The fans thought as soon as they signed Moth to the team and brought in these big, heavy hitters at the front line and Shu and Moth as a back line, this team should have a chance to win the entire league, the fans thought. And then at the beginning of the season, it didn't look too great for them. So to finish the June Joust, the regular portion of it, with a 4-0 record would be huge for the Gladiators and really put a statement stage on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're desperate for the kind of points that you can gain from the tournament. Let's take a look at the first opposition, though, which is going to be the Paris Eternal for them. And this is the scrappy underdog team that's coming into this series. Like we saw from everybody's predictions, including the fan vote, the expectations are quite low for this team coming in. But the scene has been set in terms of this team not really abiding by the meta. They haven't been playing this Neo Goats that's been dubbed. They've been playing a lot of wacky stuff. Dan, I love the percentage graphic that we had up earlier, where it showcased that he was playing 11% Roadhog compared to 12% Winston. Like, he's almost played as much Roadhog as he is Winston. I mean, I think that's a fantastic indicator of that. This is a team that really like to throw curveballs. I've learned this time, Josh. I've learned that it's called a curveball.
I appreciate that.
At the opposition.
Definitely. Dan even tweeted out after their previous game, we at the Paris Eternal decided to be bad at the Winston Diva Brawl to provide a more enjoyable viewing experience. We do it all for the fans. So there you go. They deliberately decided to be bad at the Winston Diva. So instead, this team is really... Their win condition in my head, Bren, is that they match a mirror Orisa comp against the Gladiators and are able to beat them. That, to me, or maybe, throwing in these crazy picks of the Roadhog and the ball and stuff like that. But I think the bread and butter to take the win away today for Paris is going to be beating Gladiators in a mirror battle when it comes to Orisa. And we have a lot of good maps for it, which we'll talk about later.
And on the other side, we've got the Gladiators lineup. There's not going to be any surprises here. As you can probably imagine, we've got the dynamic DPS duo Birdering and Kevster. Normally, I think Kevster's on the left of this graphic, but I think they've changed seats for whatever reason.
I'm amazed that is the thing you find most interesting about the Gladiators. I'm simply befuddled that is what you would focus on. But
yeah, normally here on this graphic. Sorry, I'm just
okay. Yeah, no, carry on, carry on. This is a crazy conspiracy theory. Have you got your tinfoil hat on, Brent?
You've got a good point. You say it, son. Come on.
My point here is that they're clearly running Moth to begin with. I'm interested to see if Skewed comes in for later maps. When we start out on Control, a lot of teams have been going for this Winston Diva, Moira Lucio, Reaper Echo composition. Very brawly. It's a little peel heavy, but it still operates similarly to other Rush. The desk has dubbed it Neo Goats because it plays a very... It's very difficult to isolate a player and take a pick. They tend to bunch up and play as a big death ball. That has been extremely popular on Control maps. And heading into our first map, Lijiang Tower, I think that the Gladiators should have a clear advantage here. They weren't able to take the Control map win yesterday, but this is a big one to kind of assess the levels between the two teams. Paris are absolutely not expected to win this first map, so if it's even competitive, it gives us a good idea of how Paris are going to be performing later on in the series.
Absolutely, yeah. As you can see, Lijiang Tower, it's going to be the first map here, and the expectations for this, as you already kind of laid ahead here, Josh, as well, is like this Neo Goat style that we see quite often. I mean, we've been seeing quite a bit on Lijiang.
And then you look at the later maps coming up, Hanamura, Hollywood, Junkertown. I mean, that's Orisa Central. We've been seeing those compositions get run frequently on those maps, with a range of different DPS picks coming in, depending on how you want to play the maps themselves. But we are not really trending towards the Rush map pool, which is a great thing for the Paris Eternal here. That's why I'm saying that, that's why I even posed the question to the desk. Do they think that a just underneath 30% chance for Paris is under or overestimating? To me, Bren, right now, I think that is underrating the Paris Eternal. I actually do think when you look at the map pool and you consider that they're going to be playing their comfort compositions, I think they've got a chance at taking this game, and I think it's more up towards 40, actually. And that I really do believe in the Gladiators, but I think considering how good Naga is and how much Dan is going to be able to move away from the Winston with this map pool, I think we could be in for a spicy game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is very interesting when you point out the maps and whatnot that's being played here. Another thing that I quite enjoyed as well, Dan, little adaptation. A lot of it kind of centered around him on that main tank role, but when he plays the Roadhog into a lot of these rush compositions to deny some of the space. This time they are going to be playing this Orisa, and they're definitely not playing the rush comp, but they've got Onigod on that McCree, which the desk was pointing out is considered a specialist role, I suppose, in this current meta, which is a weird turn of events. But here we have it. The teams are brawling here onto the point. The Gladiators are going to be looking for any sort of weakness that they can jump on. They've seemed to try and punish at least Naga into the back. The Immortality Field is going to be keeping the Paris Eternal healthy in this fight.
Good shield.
Quite low, but eventually the heals come back up. Darnas the background. The corner Muse oversteps himself just ever so slightly, and Naga's going to be taking him out. Quick little headshot. Flash bang into the headshot. Onigod. Lovely work from him, and that's going to be the first point going away to the Paris Eternal.
That's what you need if you're Paris. Winning this opening fight on control is so important, and especially when the Gladiators are running this brawly composition. I want to notice that Khan's Immortality Field didn't get taken down there. It was protected by the Orisa barrier, the second one that Dan placed. And Paris are playing this comp at the moment really well. Dredro, though, he is so weak popping that rally.
Yeah, I mean, he's been booped and knocked in every single direction. Muse, what a great performance from him. Just dropping him right within line of sight of that Coalescence, and that has completely turned the tide of this fight. The Gladiators still trying to win this one out, obviously. A lot of ultimates being committed in the end. Paris trying to turn it around, but only a couple of players left standing. And yeah, I mean, how many times have we seen that one take place, Josh? The Coalescence gets used. It's the big win condition for this composition, and they just clean it up.
Cheeky little play there from Vistola at the end, using his defense matrix on the Immortality Field to buy time for his boosters to come back so that he could reconnect with his team instead of staggering. Nice play from a rookie coming into the league. I'm really enjoying watching Vistola. Those tiny little things are actually quite impressive. Obviously doesn't change the course of the fight though. In this, you want to be looking at Dan and Khan, the dynamic duo with double A in their name. They have so much damage to put in this fight.
What? Yeah, that's the shield bash onto Muse, locked him up, and all these ultimates committed. Obviously going to be seeing something out of it. The Paris Eternal. Birdring will try and at least take somebody down with him, but not going to be happening here. And now Gladiators just chucking the bodies at the point to try and stall this one out. But a great recontest here by the Paris Eternal. It will be getting flipped over eventually, I guarantee you of that. Just, okay, well, maybe at any point.
Yeah. The Paris Eternal, though, they did a great... hello, it's just a train of people into this objective.
Just
surely, though, they don't have any chance of being able to flip it here. This is just them trying to buy time. So I'm going to talk over the top of this desperate attempt from the Gladiators. Paris's recon test, though, they opened with the with the Amp Matrix, and then they put down their Supercharger afterwards. And even though Mok popped his sound barrier, they just melted through everybody on the Gladiators. That level of pressure, the amount of damage that's going to be coming through there, amplified by both of those ultimates, it's almost impossible to stand up against. And the Gladiators shouldn't have given them that level of space. You have to be playing up aggressive in the face of the Paris Eternal. And we have seen Sneaky Birdring so many times this week. He's trying to do it again.
Yeah. He's been so intelligent with his Reaper gameplay. I can see a Coalescence coming up. The point going to get flipped over, actually. Nobody playing on top of it. Onigod separated. Got space as well with the boosters just pushing him into the enemy team. Muse still alive, obviously, just trying to get that tickle cleave going with the Tesla Cannon. Naga is actually putting in a tremendous amount of work. 3 kills. The Paris Eternal cannot be stopped, and that's the danger, I suppose, of the Paris Eternal with their composition. They've got so much sustainability in the middle of these fights. The Gladiators, I mean, they're trying to play around these big cooldowns, these big ultimates, but Paris can just keep fighting as long as that backline is alive.
Definitely. The Gladiators operate, the way that the Gladiators comp operates is in terms of like pressure cycles. You only have a small window of opportunity where you all use abilities, and then you have to disengage if you don't find an advantage before that. Here we go, those sneaky little Birdring coming around the side again.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to have to pop his Wraith form. Yeah, he's already been seen. Great work by Onigod.
Vistola going to be sending in that self-destruct. Going to be forcing the positioning. The Gladiators, they have to roll forwards here, and look at that. Kevster ended up getting the duplicate self-destruct off. Onigod falling in the process. Paris still in this fight, though. Now they're going to be trying to play around the point, but Birdring uses the Death Blossom. Taken out in the middle of it. It's all up to Kevster to try and clutch it up. He's got another self-destruct in the middle of all of this chaos. Picked up a little two-piece. Darn falling as well. Still alive, still in the action. But eventually going to be flipping that point over. Paris realizes they need to let that off for just a moment. TP obviously in play here temporarily. That's pretty clever by Onigod, just to get their team into the fight to recontest.
And Onigod now swaps back over to McCree, and they're going to be pushing into a Coalescence here. It's really hard for Dan to get value out of his Supercharger, because the Coal is just going to take that down. Such fantastic aggression here from the Gladiators as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is just an unwinnable fight. In the close quarters with the Coalescence, and Muse as well, battering them back into it. There is no escape whatsoever. The Gladiators, that is very nice, taking the initiative to win out this initial round here. Showcasing as well how, I suppose this composition as well, it is so inherently powerful, I think, as well. Because you're just building up Coalescence almost every single team fight.
Definitely, but what Paris showed there is that the Gladiators can bleed. This is their least favored map across the map pool, in my opinion, and Paris were close to being able to win that initial round. It's only because the Gladiators went so aggressive at the end, which is a really smart decision from them, with that Coalescence, and they were able to finish off these players. I mean, that is an overwhelming amount of damage. When you catch them in a choke point like that, that's exactly how the Gladiators need to play. But back to what I was talking about previously, Brent, the Gladiators' composition needs to finish off at least one pick within the first 5 seconds of popping those abilities. If you let the fight drag on without being able to disengage, Paris have a lot more sustained power in the middle of the fights with their Immortality Field and with the AoE heals from Druidro. So the Gladiators' composition has to get that mobility going, the offense, and then disengaging if they don't get value early on.
An early brawl. Muse, again, just getting caught ever so slightly. I think that's the Halt as well, pulling it in. It's such a dangerous line that you're playing as the Winston player against this comp, because there's so many things that can stop you. Shield Bash, the Flashbang, absolutely everything that's at the Paris Eternal's disposal. And that's actually a repeat of what happened in the previous round as well. We actually saw the exact same thing happen.
Yeah, the chain CC is really difficult for Muse, but that's why you have to be so careful with how you're initiating. Shu now has a Coalescence though, he's going to have it for this fight, which is going to allow Muse to engage much more aggressively, because the damage, he'll be able to heal up at least half of whatever Muse has taken.
Gladiators are just waiting for the right time to strike. Here comes the leap in. Coalescence well to try and keep Muse alive. And it is. You can see the damage it's doing, that double threat as well. Not only do they get the sustain, they get the damage on top of it. Paris is going to try and turn things around, but with Khan falling, it's looking a bit troublesome for them at the moment.
They do have the self-destruct.
Okay, yeah, self-destruct and the supercharger. The supercharger is going to fade away. He's pushed them away, and the Primal Rage was forced out by Muse. So low, the boop away for Stola. Just sent space off the map.
That's an amazing team fight from Paris, so well sustained in the middle of that. And that's what I'm talking about. When Zhu used his Coalescence, they got an advantage, but the Gladiators didn't disengage after that. They continued trying to press when their abilities are down. This composition is so ability and ultimate focused. You can't really take neutral fights. You have to back off and give space after you've gone for that initial pressure. Whereas Paris can keep fighting.
Oh, the Death Blossom and the Amp Matrix is all coming out. Onto the point, the duplicate as well. That's going to force the Rayform out of Kevster. Someone getting booped off the map there as we slipped away. I'm not sure if it actually ended up coming to for any sort of fruition. Birdring still alive though. It's going to be pumping in the damage onto this point. The Gladiators winning out this team fight. He committed a ton of ultimates to do so.
Good work from the Gladiators, but now they have a Coalescence to be able to push back in here. The Cole is going to be fighting against a rally as Paris Eternal tried to set up. I think the key here is to play aggressively for the Gladiators. They need that fast engagement, and Muse might be able to build up a Primal if he's able to be sustained throughout with the Cole. They can't give Dan enough space to put down this Supercharger. That would be terrible for them. Oh,
they have to punish Birdring here. Yep, they have to keep Onigod up as well. Deadeye to try and push away the Gladiators when they're pushing into them. Coalescence is used along with the Primal Rage again. This is pretty good from the Gladiators, being able to find that opening. Especially, they recognized immediately, as soon as Birdring used his defensive cooldown, that Wraith form, the Gladiators, they had to respond to it, otherwise he was going to get picked off.
Absolutely. Really good, fast response from the Gladiators, utilizing those two ultimates I was talking about, the Coalescence and then Muse building up his Primal Rage. This has bought enough time for them to go for a duplicate. They have double self-destruct to use in the middle of this fight, and Onigod has swapped over to Torbjorn. We saw the Gladiators using this yesterday against the Boston Uprising. Tasting their own medicine here.
So smart. It is such a smart pick. You can brawl and fight for very long periods of time. See the duplicate Kevster just, again, on the Diva, so that's going to be the self-destruct. Oh, that's the recall kill! Oh my goodness, he knew he did not have the Ray form. Kevster putting in an immense amount of work right now, taking out of the duplicate form eventually, but Dan, pretty much the sole survivor in this fight. And he's going to be taken out. A quick and easy team fight win there for the Gladiators.
Phenomenal stuff. But Dan did not use his supercharger. He's up to 88%, right? So he's got another opportunity to come back into this fight. The Torbjorn doesn't have as much damage. You're going for tankiness. So they're hoping they can sustain through these double support ultimates. But now that the Gladiators ult cycle is online and they can play aggressively, it's looking worrying. Does anyone check this corner? They do. It's Vistola.
Yep, they force out the Rayfall of Naga, though. Has to back off around the corner. Bird Ring holds, but gets the TP off. He's trying to go around the corner while all of this action is happening on the point. Supercharger still in play, but now the sound barrier from Moth to try and turn it, and Bird Ring. Nobody was keeping him in check. Just running all the way around, the wraparound of the Century. Able to close out this team fight and ultimately going to be closing out the map for his team as well. Wonderful performance from the Gladiators here in map number 1. A little bit sketchy at times. Obviously, the Paris Eternal very close to winning out that map, but overall, I think the Gladiators showcasing that they're not going to be thrown off just yet.
No, the Gladiators have demonstrated yesterday against Boston a good understanding of how non-mirror matchups work in this meta. And this map, no exception really. Even though they did struggle with a couple of great team fights from Paris, once they were in control of the point, in control of the objective, their aggression at maintaining that control was excellent. And Birdring's flanks continue to be a serious threat for any team he plays against.
Yeah, the guy is so intelligent. We're going to go to a quick break. On the other side of things, obviously this series is going to be continuing. We're going to find out if the Paris Eternal now is going to be more favored as the map pool gets deeper and deeper and deeper. We'll see you soon enough, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back from the break, everybody. Yes, taking a look at our Indeed player resume. We've got Vistola here, and as you can see, the accomplishments are numerous. They are vast. And this guy's individual performances as well, I think. Josh, you've been quite impressed with it. I've been quite impressed with it. The world has been quite impressed with it. This guy's coming in, and he's playing on short notice. He's had to synergize with his team very quickly, and he's doing a tremendous job of it.
He definitely is. He has been an exciting prospect playing in European contenders for quite a while now. Just came out of British Hurricane, and I think something that's really interesting as well is that the Paris Eternal confirmed that they paid a buyout for this guy. So they're not just trying to find the cheapest talent available, they really wanted the best player possible on that path to pro from European contenders. And I think Vistola was that by all accounts. His performance in the Overwatch League so far has been excellent as well, and he's slotted into the team no problem. I've been really impressed by the structure of this Paris Eternal team to be able to add in people like Dredro and Vistola and not have a dip in performance or any problems with integration. In fact, they've looked better the more people they've added. That's really promising stuff coming out from this European team, but it wasn't enough to get them that first control.
It was not. They came certainly very close to it, and now we're heading deeper and deeper into the map pools of this series, Hanamura being one of them. This is where you're going to start to see, honestly, probably a lot of mix-ups when it comes to the compositions and the meta, and a lot of Orisa being played. Gladiators and Paris, they both like to play these Orisa compositions, and it's definitely more suited towards it, absolutely. And I've been quite a big fan of the Paris Eternal in terms of how quickly they've been able to adapt to what's being thrown at them, I think. Or not necessarily adapt, it's more like they are very creative, and they like to force the opposition to adapt.
Definitely. For me, the win condition for Paris Eternal begins now. They have Hanamura, Hollywood, Junkertown. They know that the Gladiators are going to opt into Orisa compositions on some of those maps. So Paris need to be able to beat them in the mirror. We don't really know how that's going to go. I'm not saying that I favor Paris Eternal in the mirror by any means. They are still the underdogs coming in here. But this is a good opportunity for them to showcase their comfort levels on these compositions. The Gladiators have normally been preferring non-mirror comps, I would say. And so this could be really interesting now. Onigod's going to teleport them all to the point. Very quick initiation.
Yeah, and already you can see the pressure being applied because the point is currently being capped up. Already what a singular tick for Dredro. Oh no. I think that was the damage boost as well as the Hulk pulling him into the line of sight. Still a winnable fight though for the Paris Eternal. Oh my goodness, Kevster has the flight available, so he's going to be able to land back onto the ledge, but it's too little too late. That was small, tiny window of opportunity where they took out Kevster away from that fight, and they're going to take the point just like that. 6 minutes, 15 seconds.
I'm amazed that they were able to take point A so easily after losing Dredro as the first pick. It seemed like Gladiators spun out around Paris and kind of ambushed them from all sides. And even after killing the Brigitte, they weren't able to convert that team fight. Kevster just not able to do the damage he wanted because of that fantastic aggression. Again, Vistola just coming up worth every penny from British Hurricane.
Absolutely. I wonder where they're going to be using this teleporter as well. They have the Ant Matrix. They might try and take it to the high ground up here on the top left. Yeah, they are actually. Okay. And probably the Ant Matrix. There we go.
They love Ant Matrixing from up here. Khan is so deadly when he's in these kind of high ground positions. This is a classic execute from Paris.
Oh my god. Kevster just waddling out. He's just come back from the corner shop. He's got a pint of milk. Yeah, not going to be happening tonight, Res. Unbelievable performance thus far. And Paris are rolling this one forwards. It cannot be stopped. They've got the positioning up onto the point. You see the duplicate coming out, but Kevster taken out of it straight away. Not going to be having that Sigma active on the field. Sim Shield going to be splitting them all across. Big flux actually connects onto, I think, almost everybody. But is it going to be enough here? The accretion knocking space away, taking them out of the grass, and out of flux as well. Straight up into the sky. Supercharger on top of it. The Paris Eternal are not going to be denied. And that is 4 minutes, 56 seconds in their time bank.
I'm going to be honest, Brent, I did not think an attack like that was possible with Orisa via Orisa. That is a stonker of a time back. 4:56? We've seen roles like that with the Winston D.Va kind of compositions because you're able to generate the ultimates and snowball so effectively. But that was just gorgeous from Paris. The teleporter exec up onto the high ground, Khan with the Ant Matrix and everybody doing damage through it, and then how crispy clean Naga was to be able to take out the DPS and deny the res. Gorgeous plays.
Yeah, a wonderful mix of like these unique set plays that we see a lot of these kind of European teams do, as well as the mechanical skill and that mechanical individuality coming out. And you make North America jealous of that.
Ooh, and now Paris go for the Winston comp on defense. This is unusual. I really thought we would be seeing Orisa v Orisa for the entirety of Hanamura. Dan, what was it, 12% Winston playtime?
Yep.
That is almost nothing when you consider how the meta has been developing in the June Joust, and yet he pulls it out here for defense. They're not going for the Moira Lucio, though. Instead, we've got what is very similar to our main melee kind of compositions. The Mercy for the damage boost on Onigod and Naga, and then Khan on Ana as well. Let's see how they deal with this, the Gladiators.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, I guess you can try and hold them off with the choke point as well if you can get some big Bayonets off the back of Khan. This guy is so good at Ana and Batiste. Maybe trying to flex a bit of that prowess as well. And of course the damage boost laid on top. Gladiators are now just going to be trying to work their way through this choke point. Kevster obviously biding his time. He's going to be using the flight now just to try and push off somebody from these angles, but way to get out for now.
They're making a couple of changes here too. Moth from the Lucio goes over to Brigitte. And Birdring went over to Ash. Sorry, Kevster went over to Echo as well. Those are the two changes. And now as they come in, a lot of it is on Dan to dodge this CC.
Yeah, there's going to be a fight taking place here, but Birdring pressured off, actually, off onto the side there. Onigod on the Ash, falling very low, but does enough damage to make Birdring think twice. The flight comes up over with the sticky bombs. It's going to be that consistent damage, and it has got the Gladiators at least into position to try and at least put some pressure onto the point. Now we see the engagement from the Paris Eternal. This is their time to strike. And a boost onto Dan. This is falling so low. Has to back off for the heals. Just about going to the safety of his team as well.
Brent, Shu is the difference maker in this fight. Shu got off on an off angle up towards the top right hand side, popped his Amp Matrix, and him and Space were doing enormous damage from the high ground. Dan got pounded with it as he tried to retreat, and the positioning from the Gladiators was sublime. Really good reactions there to split apart, but still be in positions that could help each other. Shu's Amp Matrix on the high ground could feed Muse full of heals as he tried to contest the point, and he could do enormous amounts of damage to anybody trying to contest him. Really good play there from Shu, the hidden factor to why Gladiators have been so excellent and are staring at a perfect stage if they could win this game.
Yeah, and honestly, the time bank, nothing to scoff at. I mean, it took them a bit longer to crack open into checkpoint A, but 5 minutes is what they're working with now. Look at this flank attempt from Naga as well. Big Bionade! Trying to combo this one up. Naga has to use... Okay, Immortality Field laid down. Had to use the duplicate to stay alive there because of the pressure being applied, but there we go. It's going to be a clean team fight win for them. So the Paris Eternal still with a tremendous amount of ultimates that they could use. I mean, they just won that team fight off the back of the duplicate, the flank from Naga, and I guess the Bionade as well from Khan.
Absolutely. Really well played. You expect Paris to be a little shakier when it comes to this composition because they haven't played very much of it. And they weren't a great team when it came to main melee when these comps were being run. Now we're going to see an enormous clash. Both teams with 5, 6 ultimates available on either side. This one's huge. I would like to see the Paris Eternal play aggressively here. Put a Nana boost onto Dan and try and fight them deep in the choke point. Maybe another flank from Naga, but you've got to expect that Birdring would be ready for it.
Yeah, it seems like they're playing around that aspect ever so slightly. Paris just trying to let them in. The Amp Matrix comes through here, and Bob, that's going to be connecting onto the point most likely. So that's going to be applying some pressure as well for the Gladiators. Yeah, right into the corner. So not going to get a tick, actually. That's a perfectly timed counter pop coming through while the actual team fight takes place. Kevster. Oh no, he's got the recall! Oh my goodness, close quarters. That is like a horror movie, but Kevster wins it out anyway. Echo, very balanced here right away. And now Kevster's going to be looking to try and do a bit more, tickling them from the sides here. Pistola just eventually putting a lot of notice onto him, but the fight continues this with the Paris Eternal still in control.
And Naga uses duplicate as well to be able to get back to the point. The Paris Eternal decided to go and play aggressively in that choke point and see if they could get a pick early on, which they did. and they used everything to be able to get it. So for this next fight, with 3 minutes on the clock, the Gladiators are pushing back in with 2 tank ultimates and nothing to respond with from Paris. Now, they still have big abilities that can win team fights, like that biotic grenade from Khan. But overall, this is going to be the weakest team fight yet from the Paris Eternal, and Gladiator's best chance at setting a comparable time back.
Gravitic Flux available, as you can see Space holding on to it. Just trying to get his team into a good position here.
The flank, again from Naga,
one of their
with the
best
damage
opportunities. Boost. Yeah, Naga is currently just applying, look at that, all that pressure. And again, they have to just keep an eye on him. The whip shot came out there from Moth, but Dan, okay, separated. I think that was an accretion potentially to try and lock him up, but look at this, Naga still there. Supercharger goes down. The point needs to be contested though. 83% in counting. Paris needs to get some bodies onto it. Nanoboost applies to Naga as well. 2-piece for him. Okay, that's kind of tasty. And now corralled into the corner. The Gladiators can't really stand up onto this point no longer. And they're going to be stopped in their tracks.
Yeah, that is an enormous team fight win for Paris, because like I said, that was when they were at their most vulnerable, and they still found a really good avenue for Naga to sneak around the back. Khan got a nano boost online, and from then it was just game over. Naga's got right into the deep into the back of them, swoops onto both supports and takes them out. Space did not find a good opportunity either to get value out of that flux. Everyone from Paris was so spread apart. And look at the damage that Vestola's deliberately taking here to build Khan's nano boost. He's going to have another one for this next team fight.
Yeah, just holding his ground, taking that chip damage. Space, he wants to use this Gravitic Flux. He wants to try and get value off a huge Bionade. 3 players caught. Paris want to try and push off of this one. Duplicate onto Naga. Again, a lot of pressure onto the point, so that's going to be pulling a couple of players from Paris back down to it to try and contest. Naga's caught down onto the low ground. He's kind of separated there, ends up using the grasp, but taken out of the form. Now the initiation comes through, but Dan shut down immediately. Space just trying to find his mark. He might be able to catch him, but he's actually ended up just getting kind of strung around here a little bit here. Ankle's broken, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised there, but Naga's still alive, and now Naga's on a flank again. The combined approach here from Vestola. Now the dive comes through, and the damage is immense.
That was a fantastic finish to that team fight by the Paris Eternal. They gave the Gladiators the high ground, delayed them with a bob from Onigod, and then when Vestola and Naga were in position, they go for another dive attempt. This is beautiful performance from the Paris Eternal. This is not a team composition that we would associate with them, and yet they understand how to outplay the Gladiators perfectly. The Gladiators, we saw yesterday when they played against Boston, they understand how to play these comps. They are not a bad team. They're 5-2 overall and staring at being undefeated in the June Joust. And yet Paris Eternal, they've got them outplayed here on Hanamura.
And they're playing for that knockout this Sunday. Right, tomorrow you can see the ultimates being committed. The Immortality Field comes through from the Gladiators. The point being contested. Okay, Paris are going to have to be split up here. Dan, with this Primal Rage, just has to get out 218 health. And out of pressure, you can see that's coming out. Muse, another massive Bionade connecting onto the tank line. The Supercharger still alive, though. And with Bob onto the point, that might be exactly what they need. Can anybody touch? Not quite. So the Gladiators are going to get that cap in the overtime. Josh.
In the overtime is the crucial element, though, because Paris now with 4 minutes and 56 seconds to get a single tick on point A. Something that they managed like a breeze the first time around. They were barely sought any resistance from the Gladiators. Yeah, they lost the opening kill, but it was just too simple. Gladiators now have a monumental task of being able to hold off Paris, a Paris team that has such quirky strategies up their sleeve as well. They have to be prepared for Onigod to pull out a Symmetra, but they also need to be prepared for just neutral engagements coming out from Paris too. This is a tough task to take this to a draw.
It truly is. I mean, the Paris Eternal, I think this is showcasing that they've got it with the takes. They've always subtly, over the course of the season, been making these incremental improvements as well. And just like, you can see these moments, these glimmers of hope with this squad. And it feels like they're really starting to come alive. And this week in particular, I mean, drawing up this series is a great chance. Obviously, I'm not going to be a one-map Andy over here, just calling it before it's even happened. But I think it's fantastic signs for the Paris Eternal here that they're able to go toe-to-toe with a team like the Gladiators. And the Gladiators, like you said earlier, Josh, they're not a bad team. This is a team that knows how to play the meta.
Oh, they really do. Let's see what their response is. They've got to be aware of this teleporter play. Somebody needs to be in position to break it as soon as Onigod puts one down. but Onigod is actually faking it and moving. Oh no. Okay.
Wait.
What on earth is going on here?
Second teleporter.
He's faking the teleporter and then going over to Soldier 76, trying to bait out a reaction perhaps from the Gladiators. Honestly, I am not sure what is going on here. They are clearly playing mind games with the Gladiators, but I don't know exactly what reaction they were hoping to prompt.
I think the teleporter was just to get the players in position to scout really quickly. And then he laid it up again, and then they teleported back for the switches. They just, well, I mean, they got plenty of time to do it, but now sticking with the sim. So they're going to teleport up into the top left here, rotating around. No casualties, which is important. They don't lose anybody. And they're just going to start to rotate and try and take this high ground position here. Teleporter is up again. We could see some funny EU stuff.
Now, last time Dredro was on Brigitte as well. This time he's playing the Lucio. So they have the speed boost. Teleporting in straight into the back line.
Straight into them. The Halt as well, pulling them together. Moth, he gets taken out. They weren't expecting that in the slightest. I think they're anticipating them to try and rotate around and play the positioning. Still, the Gladiators are trying to turn this fight around. Kevster obviously built up that duplicate pretty quickly, but the fight is going even as it stands. Kevster eventually taken out of the duplicate form. Shu still alive. Needs to heal up the remnants of his team. The Paris Eternal, it was a cutesy play, but the Gladiators holding on.
Shu and Kevster are the heroes there for the Gladiators. Kevster had a duplicate online, swaps over to D.Va, is able to do a lot of work because of the damage he was doing just passively as Paris rotated around the map. But to me, the real key again is Shu. He is the difference maker for the Gladiators. A huge bio grenade in the middle of that allowed the Paris players to be taken down. Now Paris, they're looking to engage back in. They have an amp matrix online. That could be enormous if they're able to get in a good position to use it. Up at the top of the stairs would be huge. They've used the teleporter, and now they're at the stairs. This is a great position for an amp matrix.
Yep. Halt into the amp matrix. That has done so much damage. It's all on Kevster to try and turn this around.
Khan's
gone. It could be disastrous for them, but look at this. Yeah, Khan has fallen, but the damage is definitely being done, and Kevster's taken out just like that in the blink of an eye. 6 people out for the Gladiators, and that is going to be a tick awarded here to the Paris Eternal, and that will be a map as well. 1-1 is the series overall. Can be evening it out. That is some lovely plays from the Paris Eternal. Just showcasing as well that they really do understand how to play a lot of these niche compositions.
Yeah, and they don't even really look that shaken by it, by the fact that they're 1-1 in this series and performed so well on Hanamura. I was expecting as we came back to the player cams to see some signs of some joy on their face, a smile here or there. Instead, it's all focus, all dedication for the Paris Eternal. They realize that the job is not over yet. Despite their excellent play on Hanamura, there is still way more of this match to be played.
Yep, another day in the office for the Paris Eternal, apparently. And it is 1-1 in the series. Going to be going to a short break, and obviously on the other side of it, the series is going to be continuing. We might be going the absolute distance of this one, if we're lucky, that is. I hope you got your predictions right as well, because I think this was the double points match on the pick'ems as well. We'll find out how this series is exactly going to play out on the other side of this one. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
We've loved seeing your awesome artistic creations this season on the Fan Art Gallery by Coca-Cola. And this week, we want you to submit your favorite Overwatch League player enjoying a cold Coca-Cola beverage for a chance to be featured on the gallery. Submit your art at overwatchleague.com/art-gallery for the chance to be featured. You like that, Josh? A little
Yeah, I like that. Does ZP count as a player? Because, I mean, there's photographic
ZP
evidence left, right, and center, isn't there? The man lives
He
off
loves Coca-Cola, yeah, he does. He loves Diet Coca-Cola to be precise with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Power rankings of IBM wants to know. As you can see, we've got a couple of players. Kevster moved up 14 places this week, up to number 11.
Oof.
Still don't have the player picture for him as well. The day that gets revealed, I swear to God, the heavens are going to open up.
Well, Brent, if they go to Hawaii, if the Gladiators go to Hawaii, does that mean we get to see Kevster's face? Or does he just continue to play remotely?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. But I want the Gladiators to go to Hawaii. They've already clinched their spot when it comes to the June Joust knockouts, but they have not clinched their spot for Hawaii yet. That comes in the
Caster
knockout
bias
games later on. Hey,
bias.
I think that they're on the verge of being undefeated so far in the June Joust. Unless Paris Eternal here are able to deliver them what most people would have anticipated to be an upset win, the Gladiators are looking like our potential best team coming out of this. Of course, people are going to have debates with them and the Shock and Dallas and that kind of stuff, but it's going to be so interesting. Now, this game, though, it's not over. Skewed is subbing in for Moth. That indicates that we're going over to more Brigitte compositions. And as we head towards Hollywood, our next map, we're again going to be seeing here, Bren, a lot of Orisa being played. Orisa, Brig, Bap in the backlines. This is comfort situation for the Paris Eternal, and they've already shown us how creative they can be.
Yeah, that creativity was what won them that map on Hanamura. And just to set a reminder, I suppose, of the stakes for this one as well, the Paris Eternal, they need to win this match here. I mean, both teams need to win it, but the Paris Eternal in particular as well, it's quite important for them to be able to secure a spot in the knockouts tomorrow that are going to be taking place.
Yep, if Paris win, they're in. That's all it comes down to. Paris just need to be able to win this game against the Gladiators, and they've booked their ticket into those knockout games on Sunday, which, by the way, are going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to those enormously. I feel like there's still so many questions about this meta that haven't really been answered. There are good teams when it comes to Orisa comps. There are great teams when it comes to the Rush kind of dive comps with the Lucio Moira. Who actually wins when those top teams battle out? We haven't seen so far in the regular season. It's still really difficult to say who the best teams are in North America right now. You can look at the regular season showings of like Gladiators at the top, Houston Outlaws 3-1, but there's still so many other teams who've looked dangerous in the June Joust.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's going to be popping off tomorrow for the qualifiers, for the knockouts. Yeah, it's going to be a fun time overall. The Paris Eternal teasing us here with this double shield on the defense. The Gladiators opting into it as well. They might change it up. They've got a bit of time, but most likely not if they're going to be running skewed on the Brigitte. Seems like they got a pretty good game plan for that one. And now the McCready Echo is the DPS duo that they're going to be coming out with.
Here we go. So, Paris running with the Mercy. That's a big difference for them. Skewed is going to be playing Brigitte the majority of the time. The Brig is favored in much more close, brawly engagements. Gives your tank so much of the sustain. Excellent for escort maps where you can play behind the payload. For this opening part, I think I've got to favor Dunejon and Naga. Naga, as long as he can survive, he takes a big shot there from Birdring. But as long as he can survive, he has a severe advantage over Kevster in the Echo v Echo.
The whole pulling them all together there, and that's damage boosted sticky bombs. Skewed.
Yep.
I don't think he was pulled in there, but it was just it's just Naga finding openings.
They don't realize, oh wow, he just gets away before Birdring can flashbang in there. That was really close to Naga getting caught by a flash. Birdring was being cheeky, hiding around the corner on that mega pack. The Gladiators, they're going to regroup and go again. This is 1 minute off the clock now.
Our Matrix available here for Shu. Has it if he wants to try and apply some pressure. Now, as they start to get a bit of progress onto the point, the Matrix comes down, and that's going to be stopping the Paris Eternal from really playing across the point. In fact, it's the Gladiators who are taking the initiative. They're just going to be pushing right into their defensive areas here. It's going to be a quick and easy capture here for checkpoint A. So the Pirates Eternal really not finding too many opportunities to try and stop that. The Gladiators, one of the things they're so good at with these double shield, these Orisa compositions, is finding good moments to like rotate with the comps as well, without taking too much damage, getting into good positions to set themselves up for good team fights.
Yeah, that's a great push from the Gladiators. They actually isolated Vistola and pushed him out to the left. So when the rest of their team was trying to hold on to Cafe, they didn't have that extra shield and the kinetic grasp to be able to absorb damage. And they ended up just falling over. Shu with a really early amp matrix as well. Khan is only just getting his first online right now.
Could be a big one. And this is a notorious area to try and push through on Hollywood as well. When Paris are controlling this high ground, you can see the Hulk came through just to stop them for a moment. Kevster is ready and waiting, just hiding, biding his time. Has the duplicate available. And these teams are just just waiting it out, really. The Gladiators are now setting themselves up, so straight up onto the high ground. Skewed goes up there alone. The shield bash comes in. That's the accretion as well. Going to be knocking Vistola to the side, but now the amp matrix. Both teams trading them out. Immortality fields as well there. Khan pushed away from the high ground. That's the gravitic flux. Vistola ready and waiting, offloading it onto the enemy. And it seems like the Gladiators will not be able to hold, or will not be able to push this any further. Still, Paris Eternal with complete control of this high ground.
It was a nice attempt, though, from the Gladiators. They got their Brigitte up on the elevator, which now, thankfully, waits for you at the floor. Very polite elevator. He got a shield bash in onto Dan, and they tried to use that for Kevster to get up top with his duplicate form on the Sigma. But unfortunately, Kevster's duplicate got burnt out way too quickly, and Onigod was doing damage on them constantly from above. Oh, hello. There's a big flux. On Dunejon falls as well, even before the flux came through.
It's a great way to try and take away this high ground control. A lot of damage as well pumped into Naga. He will go down. A couple of players left standing on the Paris Eternal. No one's able to really contest onto the point though, so they're going to be able to push past this really difficult area here. And now the position is going to get sort of flipped here as well. The Gladiators, obviously, they have to keep constant pressure on this cart to push it forwards, but it is the Paris Eternal pushing from the low ground into the Gladiators, who presumably are going to be taking this high ground control now.
They absolutely should. And Tridro's made the swap over to Brigitte as well, matching Skewed on that roll. Look at how much high ground control the Gladiators have. That previous team fight that they won is the defining fight of Checkpoint B, because now they have a huge advantage. Naga's got a massive job to do here. And that's
my goodness.
A headshot from behind from Birdring.
Yep, that's Birdring headshot again. Oh my goodness, Birdring, you are kidding me. Obviously had the assist of Space in that matter. Took him out though, no questions asked. Now, he's free to just obviously pop off, hit these shots, no pressure in sight. That's going to be the capture there for the Gladiators. You can see how important it is to set up positioning with these compositions.
It's amazing to me that Birdring is able to get this kind of value playing Widowmaker into double shield. Double shield and a Brig in that final fight too. But he opened up with a kill on Tridro playing Mercy after the Mercy just popped her head out for the tiniest period of time. And then jump shot, killed Naga, or at least did enough damage to him so that Muse could finish him off. And in that fight was able to demolish Naga, who was trying to just turn the tide of the engagement with a duplicate. How is Birdring able to find value on every single DPS he picks up?
The guy is an absolute freak. You can just do
the
it all.
Team's been split. Oh, this is so bad for the Paris Eternal. Their tanks committed to the payload, and the rest got separated.
They might be able to save him, not quite yet. The tanks have just been blown up here. Gladiators have a great opportunity now, just keeping this car moving.
You knew that one had gone badly, Grant, as soon as Space took the high ground control, because he drove a wedge in between the backline and the front line for Paris, and their backline just couldn't rotate quickly enough. This is looking like a really good push from the Gladiators.
Gravitic Flux as well, just to stop them where they stand. Naga has moved over to the Genji, but he fell very low, has to back off into the spawn, and now the Paris Eternal just chucking bodies at the payload, just trying to stop it right where it stands. Naga into the backline here, but the beam will eventually remove him from the fight, and now, yeah, that is going to be the push completed. 2 minutes. The Gladiators with a fantastic approach now onto Hollywood to answer back, battling back after losing Hanamura.
Really methodical there from Gladiators. They had 2 team fights that didn't go their way the entire time. One was their initial push on Checkpoint A, didn't really set them back that much. The second was their initial push from the low ground on checkpoint B. Both times, they just come back in, alter their plan slightly, and they're able to succeed enormously. I've got to give so much credit to Birdring as well. I can't stress to the audience at home enough how difficult it is to push against high ground control on checkpoint B. You need some kind of miraculous first pick, and Birdring delivered it to them on a platter with that kill on Dreamdrive.
Yeah. Against the double shield as well. I mean,
yeah.
Absolutely absurd. This guy is so talented as well. He's really come alive ever since he's landed onto the Gladiators. Here's a replay of just exactly how he did it. Oh, this is seeing actually the headshot that he got. I mean, that's such a tiny shot to hit. But it immediately... if Naga stays alive there, he's on 400 health, and he's in the backline just pressuring them. He's building up a gravitic flux. It could completely change the tide of the fight. Birdring hitting that headshot, so important. Let's take a look here as well.
Right before it happened.
And you can see that the June Joust, the thing that we've been hinting at, tomorrow the knockouts are going to be occurring 12 PM Pacific time. You do not want to miss it. It's what these teams are playing for. Obviously, the Paris Eternal, a reminder that if they win, they are going to be qualifying for that knockouts tomorrow as well. That's what they're playing for here.
Paris opening up at the Hangzhou, maybe just to get a Sonic Arrow? No, looks like Onigod is committing to this too. Gives them a lot of shield break ability, so Muse in space going to find it difficult to hold on against the Storm Arrows from Onigod. They chunk down shields so effectively. And again, the damage boost there that can be applied to Onigod or Naga could be really crucial for them.
Tell you what, breath of fresh air watching these Orisa comps. Never thought I'd say that with the double shield, but it is lovely to see some of this individual pop-off from these players here. Onigod with the Storm Arrows off onto the side. He's trying to make it work. Obviously, going to get pressured here. Oh my goodness, space finding. I think that was... I actually rebounded it off the wall there to collect that kill into Onigod. He was very low. And the Gladiators, oh yeah, that's going to be an easy win for them.
Good work for the Gladiators, playing aggressively into Paris. That is a big win condition for them. They need to close the gap so that Skewed can find value and healing in the middle of team fights, and also to stop Onigod from just taking that damage boost and melting their shields. If you let Paris Eternal set up on these angles, they're going to be able to do more damage than you. They're going to win the shield war, so instead, you kind of have to force the fight. Look at Skewed's positioning as well, just hiding up top, waiting for somebody to be able to contest that high ground. Maybe just getting info as well, but I think he's looking for Onigod to try and poke upwards.
Try and set up something. You can see space. He's actually taking back this high ground control. Oh, he's got such a good angle onto them. Oh, the shots he's putting in. Look, Dunejon just cannot do anything. Just trying to fly all over the place, but can't escape it. Wonderful aim, and now space. He knows he can just push them out of these positions as well. He's got the support of his team. The grass just to eat up a bit of that damage coming through. Darn, the last one standing. 2 minutes now for the Paris Eternal to try and push this one.
That play from space is so good. They understand perfectly how important high ground control is. In the middle of the team fight, for him and Skewed to go on that little wraparound, Skewed is like a bodyguard escorting space on the high ground where he can do all of that damage. If Onigod is up there, or if Naga or Dreamdrive give him any troubles, that extra little oomph, the extra shield, the extra player up there really helps for space to get in perfect positions. He doesn't need to play there this time around though, because he has that gravitic flux.
Gravitic flux at the choke point. How are you going to break through that one? Duplicate actually though from Naga just to try and contest the high ground, but he's pushed away from it. Not through any ability usage. Ended up just dropping down to help his team. Has built up the gravitic flux. Kevster though, obviously it's his turn to try and do it as well.
How many gravitic
fluxes being used? I know, it's absolutely ridiculous. The beam not going to be enough to try and get a casualty out of it. Stick bombs might connect onto something, but Darn eventually falls. The damage way too immense there from the Gladiators, especially with that supercharger just around the corner. Nobody able to take it out. And now they're hunting for the stagger kills. They're probably going to get it as well, aren't they? Look at that beautiful aim from space.
The universe is going to have a hoarse throat after that team fight. It was singing to 3 different people. That is a weird team fight to have that many gravitic fluxes popping off. But again, the Gladiators maintain control, partly because they're doing an excellent job at shutting down Onigod. Whenever he tries to get in these good positions, it's Skewed or it's space getting up in his face and making sure that it's impossible for him to stand there. Look, they're doing it again. The Gladiators are in a position where they know that they can punish somebody.
Oh, and they split up 3-3, and now they're going to try and collapse onto them, the tank line. Pressured forwards. Naga so low here. Dragon Strike from Onigod actually ends up killing space. As space was just, again, trying to hammer home that wedge in between them. The damage might be being done here, but no. Kevser He's ready and waiting to try and clutch this one up for the rest of his team. The Matrix, though, is doing a lot of work in that choke, and now they're going to be able to get onto the point. Finally, the Paris Eternal bought a lot of time. They've killed a couple of these players, but Shu, what is that? Comes off onto the side, and look at this threat now coming in from them. Kevster as well with the damage. Onigod goes down, and Space on the point. He's going to be anchoring for the rest of their team. The Paris Eternal are in a dangerous situation, but they're committing ultimates. The Supercharger laid down onto the corner. Shu not even committing the bullets to it, instead operating just to try and take out Darn. Now the Immortality Field keeping him back into it, and the Gladiators with the recontest. Is anyone going to be able to touch this? The overtime will burn, and they are coming back off the spawners now with these quick heroes, but is it going to be enough? It does not look like it. The Gladiators, what a recontest.
That is so good from Shu. What a beast in the back line. Take a sip of your milk or whatever that was, you deserve it. Great play there. He takes down the opponent Batista, and he was hiding in that room for so long. Nobody knew that he was there, and he just peeks out and lasers down his opponent Batiste before the shield could come through from Vistola. Phenomenal stuff. I thought that Paris were going to be able to take that checkpoint A there. They just changed the whole tide of Hollywood. I mean, yeah, they were still in the lead, but anything can happen once you get to the escort portion. And Shu shut it down immediately before the threat had even begun.
Flipped on its head, and now we're going to be going to another quick break, and this time the Gladiators one map away from taking the series and denying the hopes and dreams of the Paris Eternal. Fun fact, if you're a Boston fan, you're actually rooting for the Gladiators here because you want Paris to lose so Boston get into the knockouts tomorrow. There you go, got that to look forward to as well, but we're going to find out just how the series will be going on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back from the break, everybody, and yeah, we're getting into the action shortly as well as the teams are just settling down. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. One map away from the Gladiators winning this one, taking it all the way in the Paris Eternal. They don't want to make that happen, Josh, because obviously everything's on the line with this one. If they win this series overall, if they manage to do almost the unthinkable when you consider the predictions overall, they will be qualifying for the knockouts tomorrow.
Yeah, it would be a huge win for the Paris Eternal to be able to get there. They're already 3-4 in the season so far, which is better than most people were expecting for them coming in. A lot of people had them in the same kind of position as the London Spitfire, who've had a rough season so far, and teams like Vancouver Titans, etc. They've outperformed all of those teams already, and they're looking to try and go 500 on the season with a win here against the Gladiators. Now, Brent, I have some bad news though. While we have a short break before we get into the action, for any Washington fans, because Paris were able to win that map, the Washington Justice are now they're out of the knockouts. So unfortunate, but Boston fans, you still have hope. Paris just have to lose this game.
That's true, yeah. That must be a weird experience, I suppose, rooting for the... Well, actually, no, you're always rooting for the loss of one enemy team, I suppose, if you're supporting a team. But it must be weird supporting another team that you don't really support, I guess, like cheering for them to win overall. His shoe on the Batiste so far over the course of this match, 4 deaths per 10 minutes is something different. I mean, this guy is just built differently. 7.4 final blows per 10 minutes as well. Shu always, he has been underrated in the past. That's not the case anymore. I'm not going to make the claim that this guy's still underrated coming in. But God, like him and Moth, and in particular Skewed as well, when they run Skewed as well, any sort of combination that the support line that the Gladiators want to run with, they have so much firing power.
Yeah, it is an elite level support line for the Gladiators, and it's part of the big reason that they're 5-2 in the season right now. Shu is one of the best Batiste that we have in the entire league, and he's an incredible all-round talent as well. If you get him over onto the Ana, those Bayonades are going to be coming in left, right, and center. On Zen, he's so deadly as well that we haven't seen too much of it so far this season. But, I mean, overall, this guy is a phenomenal flex support, and he's showcasing it here in this series. Junkertown, though, I love this map. It is weird, wacky, wonderful. This meta in particular, though, the reason that I like it, Brent, is because it doesn't trend towards the Lucio Moira stuff. And you could tell that with Skewed in the lineup again, they're going to be opting for more of this Orisa composition. So a real break away from what we've been seeing from the clash of the other top teams in this match.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I was quite surprised when we've been watching teams play Junkertown, them opting into this kind of the rush comps, the close-range brawl. I mean, that is weird to me. Junkertown is so wide, it's so open, you can play these long-range hit scans really effectively, and they just weren't really opting into doing that. It was quite surprising to me, but both these teams, obviously, the Gladiators showing their hand with Skewed in the roster, and the Paris Eternal not really wanting to try and play into that style anyway. So we are going to be seeing probably a bit of that long-range hit scan coming through as well, the double shield action on top of it. It's going to be exciting. My eye is going to be on Birdring. It's already hard enough to get value, I think, playing into the double shield. 2 shields in the way of a lot of your shots means it's really difficult. The amount of opportunities you're presented are pretty minimal. But the guy has been popping off, nevertheless, over the course of this series, and I want to see even more of it.
Naga was hinting at a bit of a Bastion pick there, but not going to be the case. Venom Mine taken down as well as the mind games begin between Onigod and Birdring. The defensive Widowmaker generally tends to have an advantage, but they can't be as risky with the shots that they go for, because 1 death for Birdring without that mercy to resurrect him, it's curtains for the defense of the Gladiators on checkpoint A. So he's looking for safe positions to play from, but he can kind of force Onigod to take unfavorable duels.
And the Paris Eternal are going to be rotating around and taking this fight indoors, so trying to avoid a lot of damage, and this sightline from Birdring as well. Birdring's got a difficult job of trying to keep Onigod in check. Pretty much for the entirety of this first point here, depending on how long they want to play these long-range hit scan. You can see how slow it is to get started. I mean, those shots were very, very close. 1 headshot might have been the end of Onigod, but there we go. Naga putting in a tremendous amount of work, diving into the back line, and now here comes the Paris Eternal, desperate to secure that kill. Muse will be falling in the end. That beam just rinsing through them. Oh, and he might make it a second one as well. Look at the shots.
Naga is the star player for this Paris Eternal team. as soon as he's been able to play the Echo, it has provided such a boost to this squad. Skewed was trying to track him and shut him down, and instead it's Naga that gets that kill, just murdering the person that's trying to man-mark him. And Naga with a nice pick there towards the end as well onto Birdring. They can try and ride this momentum forwards and get into a good position early on. This is a really hard point to push, and again, a situation where Onigod should be at unfavorable angles, but if you can get into good positions before the Gladiators come off respawn, it will help you so much.
Ooh, Birdring. He's looking for it, not going to find it. And the card actually hasn't moved that far yet. You can see this rotation of positioning. The Parasiternal, you might think that they're on the defense with the way that they're playing, but they've just wrapped all the way around both of these teams. And Matrix now used, laid down into the Gravitic Flux here. It's going to drop a bunch of the players. They've fallen very, very low, and Kevstar already built up that supercharger. There's a go. Halt into the primary fire. Is it enough to try and bring them down? It will be. The damage is way too much. Still, fight continues, especially with Drijo using that rally, but falling so low, backing off around that corner. Rally armor available. The mine comes out. Kill onto Onigod. Interesting.
Oh my word! What a shot from Birdring. Oh, and another one.
Oh my god!
He's on fire.
Okay, Birdring. Yeah. I mean, just kind of flexing on him a little bit. Love to see it.
Cleaning up the team fight, and now all of that early positioning that Parasiternal got has been taken away. The Gladiators were so fast to make their own rotation and contest the payload. I'm not even sure how those guys got there. Muse kind of squirreled his way past everybody else with Shu and was contesting the payload before it could even get through that choke point. And now Paras are in a really difficult position. This has got to be the hardest point on Junkertown to push in this meta.
Yeah, especially when the Gladiators have just got this high ground control. Going to be constantly peppering them with the damage. And look at Kevstar. This is super far back. Presumably he's waiting to see if Naga goes for a flank so he can mark him.
So.
Ultimate's coming through. The shield blocking that accretion space though. Wants to press the issue. Obviously moving forwards. Plugging in the damage off onto the side here. Muse's supercharger goes down and it's the Parasiternal down. He's still got his up for Stola though. Brings himself down there. The Hypersphere's doing damage to himself, and that should be a kill. Not quite. Onigod, it's not going to get out of there. No fear from the Gladiators here, just playing straight into that Amp Matrix.
Very late Amp Matrix there from Khan. They had already lost so many players. Stola had died. They'd lost Onigod essentially by the time that was picked, by the time that was put down as well. I understand that you want to try and bait the Gladiators into overextending and punish, and if you can get pigs, you have the spawn advantage, but that felt like a bit of a waste there. The Batiste are going to be able to build up their ults quickly, but there is such an ultimate advantage for the Gladiators, and all of this positional advantage that we've been talking about the entire time.
Damn.
Yeah, Birdring's been doing a stellar job, by the way, of knowing when to take these angles. I mean,
he's so cheeky!
He can take this shot because he's got the infrasight. He knows. Oh, there's no way. He just
He's
holds
unreal.
the angle.
He is so smart. The flanks that he goes for, Brian, no one else is doing right now. He's just on another level with them.
Well, that might even things out. Kevstar falling. Gravitic Flux onto the high ground, into the Halt. Pulls a bunch of the targets together. Only getting the one off there. Nice whip shot, actually. Vistola messing up the accretion, and that gives the Gladiators room to breathe. They press forward, space with the two-piece. Mortality field, just in case, is going to be laid up here. Yeah, Vistola with a staggered kill. Not ideal here. A minute 20 seconds left now for the Parasiternal to try and push this. They are struggling to find answers.
They either need a big punish onto Birdring when he goes for one of these plays, or a massive individual performance from Naga. They need just some moment of miracle.
What is he doing? I mean, he's an absolute nutcase.
He is. He's got to be punished. He has to be punished when he goes for stuff like this. Paris need an opening pick, and there it is.
Yeah, so Birdring cannot be getting away with that for much longer. There we go. Duplicate as well. Naga. There's the beatdown. Going to be building up this Gravitic Flux shortly. Kevstar on the other side as well. He had a similar idea. I don't think he got too much value with it. And yeah, he's going to be moving out of the duplicate in the end. Only one tank going up, but obviously taken out of the duplicate, so that won't be finalized. But still, the Parasiternal win out this team fight. 30 seconds now pushing this card. They have been given a lifeline.
I said Naga either had to go huge or Birdring needed to be punished. Why not both, say the Paris Eternal? Dan now has this supercharger that he can contest with, and Onigod is looking for an enormous ultimate here. The Dragon Strike could just cut off one of these entrances. They're trying to get information, and now they have it with that Sonic Arrow.
See you later. Dragon Strike going to be splitting them right up. Look at that damage. And they have to put their backs against the wall into the Immortality Field, but the damage is done. Way too low. They cannot contest, and the Paris Eternal, capping up this point, ended up committing the supercharger into that one as well, but at least they got out that dreaded middle section of Junkertown.
Yeah, it's fantastic, honestly. They now have set themselves a good win condition, especially when you consider how good the Gladiators were at being able to push the payload portion on Hollywood despite positional disadvantages. If Paris Eternal had gotten stuck there on checkpoint B, it's basically game over in the series. You just have too much faith in the Gladiators' attack. Now with a minute on the clock, with a rally to work with and a Gravitic Flux, it looks doable for them. I think this Flux has got to be huge from Pistola, though. Maybe if they bring them up in the air and Naga's able to get his focusing beam. Oh, but he's taken down!
Yeah, lovely headshot from Birdring. The Holt is going to be pulling Muse down to the low ground, but I think that's exactly where he wants to be. Shredding them in with the damage. Doesn't have to fortify, so he's going to be subjected there to that Gravitic Flux, but Space comes into the back, and that is a bit of a rescue effort. Ultimate's committed. That's a one team fight for them. 30 seconds now is what Paris are working with once again. And no ultimates online.
Nothing to work with whatsoever. Naga's duplicate is going to be the first one up. Or maybe Khan's and Matrix, either or, and neither of them are going to be great. The Gladiators are holding close here, trying to stuff them into the choke point. And Kevster's duplicate, it could be huge. If he manages to get it onto Pistola and there's two Sigmas in the field, one behind you at an off angle, it is so impossible to push these positions.
Damage being done. Kevster in the back. Ooh, he's been punished pretty quickly.
Great punish.
But now he's going to be diving straight onto Onigod, the beam, the tracking. It's so perfect. And the overtime's going, but nobody is touching. The Paris Eternal are going to be stopped just short of the finish line there. They have set themselves up with at least a slight win condition, but I mean, you said it earlier, Josh. There's so much faith, I think, that we have in the Gladiators on their attack. We saw what they were capable of on Hollywood. This is a team that is very well versed in taking these team fights, setting themselves up to succeed. So the Paris Eternal, it's a bit shaky at the moment.
It took them many minutes to get a punish on Birdring or a big individual play coming out from a player on their team. It was Naga that eventually stepped up with both. But for the Gladiators, it just seems like anybody can do that. Kevster could have a big moment. Birdring could find a pick. Shu might be able to find a pick from the back line as well. Any of these players can turn these unfavorable scenarios into suddenly being winnable for the Gladiators. And Paris just, even though they're a fantastic team right now, and they're playing some of the best Overwatch they've ever played, I truly believe that, they aren't still quite at that level where you have so much faith in a person to just win a team fight for them. Onigod tried at the very beginning when there was still 4 minutes on the clock, but Birdring takes him out and then does this kind of stuff.
No honor
this
in that
kill
one.
as well.
Would make a 1v1. Beautiful so plays from Birdring, though. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful stuff. And now we're setting themselves up here to Paris Eternal on the defense. Reminder here, head to your pick'em.overwatchleague.com to submit your picks for the June Joust. That's your teams that you think are going to be qualifying. You've only got until the end of today, I believe, to do so. A casual reminder, I know a lot of people forgot last time, so there you go, doing you a solid there as the gates open up. And this time, Gladiators on the attack, and Birdring again on that Widowmaker.
This is the big battle to me. If Onigod oversteps himself a little bit, Birdring finds the pick, all of that momentum is going in favor. Birdring physically flinching with that one as well because he knows what's on the line.
And that is Naga falling very early on. Naga was integral to a lot of the Paris Eternals approaches, and it gives Kevs the free reign. He can just dive straight onto Onigod. The beam will miss, but it's too late. I mean, the fight has already won here for the Gladiators. Look at how far they have got with the progress on that.
We didn't see how Naga fell, but that is an enormous opening kill for Kevster to get. The punish on an opponent Echo and no mercy there to resurrect, that's just an instant teamfight loss. And now the question gets asked, how much space can the Gladiators get? If they can take a high ground position here, it could be huge. But the Paris Eternal are fast off the spawn. They're already in a good position here, Paris. They might be able to take many minutes off the clock, but they can't afford another mistake like that when Naga falls early.
Yeah, it becomes difficult as well, I think, for Birdring to get the kind of value he was getting on defense on the attacking side now. The angles are few and far between. Might be going for some flank approaches. Kevster is the one actually on the flank. And you can see he's spotted Onigod. He's forcing him out of position. The flight comes through. Instant response from Naga here, but the sticky bombs have already done their job. Traded out though in the end. And now Birdring, it's his time to go on a bit of a flank. He needs to be careful. He knows that Naga is there. He's going to be ready and waiting now. Meanwhile, fight taking place here between the tank lines. Darn, split apart from the rest of his team. The accretion comes through, connects. Immortality Field will not be saving him as that's taken out as well. And the Gladiators, just a slow war of attrition as they pressure out the Paris Eternal.
But it's those flanking positions that break open the normally stronghold of Paris Eternal's defense. That is the way that the Gladiators understand how to break that. It's second to none right now. The Gladiators are so good at disassembling defending Orisa compositions. Paris just looked like they couldn't do anything there. Kevster was able to get behind and he puts a lot of pressure onto Onigod. Then it gives a ton of space for Birdring when he's on a flank. And the Paris Eternal players holding close. Their attention gets completely split because you're getting pressured from in front and behind. It's masterful positional play from the Gladiators. They really understand this meta superbly.
And Matrix here from the Paris Eternal. They want to stop this right here, right now. 5 minutes on the time bank. It's a brutal one. The Gladiators have so much time to work with. Infoside popped. One little misstep. Might be curtains for a couple of them, but no, the counter Infoside comes out from Onigod, ready and waiting, but the damage might just be done here. Look at Kevster pushing around the corner. Onigod cannot do anything. And Skewed will be the one to receive that one in the end. Rally armor into the back line. The Paris Eternal trying to hold on. But that Gravitic Flux obviously sends him straight up into the air, taking out the duplicate form. That is probably going to be it here now for the series. I don't think there's going to be anybody capable of defending. Remember, they just have to move it to that tiny box right there.
And even so, even if they are able to win this team fight, there's 4.5 minutes left. They're pushing into a supercharger. Poor Vistola, what can he do? He just gets melted.
A desperate effort here from the Paris Eternal, but they're all toppling down. Onigod desperately searching for just a head to click on. Not going to be receiving any sort of that, and now lifted away from the cart and the positioning. That's the Gladiators winning out the series in a 3-1 fashion overall. I think I can be quite pleased with that one. The Paris Eternal, certainly no pushovers. They brought it right down to the wire early on in this series, despite what those numbers are saying. Definitely an opportunity for them to win this series overall, but Gladiators proving they're not going to be rattled that easily.
Proving that they were the better team in this series for sure. The Paris Eternal, yeah, they had some upset potential, but it wasn't quite there. The Gladiators, especially on Hollywood and Junkertown, just proved that they are capable, especially on attack, of disassembling opponent Orisa compositions. Such a phenomenal performance to end the regular portion of the June Joust for the Gladiators. They finished perfect in the June Joust. This is the Gladiators that was promised. This is the Gladiators that their fans expected coming into the league. And now they move on to the knockout portion, and they look scary. This team can play everything to a really high level.
They certainly can. I mean, an unbelievable performance overall, especially given the rough beginnings, I suppose, of the Gladiators. Being able to come back here, get these wins, qualifying obviously for the June Joust knockouts. This is a team that's going to be looking to really just take it even further beyond. Let's take a look at our player of the match presented by Xfinity. There was a couple of candidates that we could have handed this one out to. In the end, we decided to opt for the old classic Birdring here, obviously performing so well. When he had to play these kind of rush compositions, very intelligent gameplay on the Reaper, but his hit scan prowess, I mean, it's just unbelievable. This guy, it's almost like, you know, you're teleported back to 2018. You get to see Birdring really just popping off at his maximum potential.
Yeah, that opening pick onto the Mercy was so important for Hollywood. And then also, moving forward, his performance on Junkertown is also excellent. Maybe you would give Kevster the man of the map there for what he was able to do for Birdring, but even if you're making space for your Widowmaker, the Widowmaker has to hit the shots and do the work, and that is absolutely what Birdring did. I love the way that he plays this meta. There were many candidates from the Gladiators. Shu also had a phenomenal game. But at the end of the day, the big difference to me when I watch other teams versus the Gladiators is how much Birdring pressures the flanks, how much he causes chaos in the minds of their opponents, where he could be coming from any direction. And in this meta in particular, Brent, it is so important that you aren't a one-dimensional team. You must attack from various different directions. You must create threats in your opponent's head. And I think that was one of the big reasons why we gave Birdring player of the match here.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the guy definitely deserves it. We've got an interview with Space coming up as well, on the other side of this one as well. So we're going to go to a quick break. On the other side of course, even more Overwatch League action is going to be continuing and ramping up for the Sunday knockout games as well, moving forward even further, I guess, just looking really deep into the future. That's going to be it for us, though, and we'll see you on the other side of things. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you soon.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break presented by Pringles. We're joined now by Space from LA Gladiators. Space, congratulations on the win today. Now, Gladiators seem to, you know, sort of struggle a bit in the main melee, but you guys had a very successful June Joust qualifiers, heading into the knockout rounds with 4-0 record. How were you guys able to turn things around coming into the June Joust tournament?
Honestly, it was just our mentality. Like, we felt like the first 2 losses we had in the season were really up to us, and we played bad and we're kind of nervous. And obviously during the tournament, it wasn't up to us. Like I said, we had to pray on other teams winning for us to make it to the tournament, which you never want to be in that situation. And we just kind of like kept our heads up high and tried our hardest to make sure we went 4-0 because, you know, this was the chance to do it. So now we're here and everyone's happy about that.
Of course. I'm very happy for you guys as well. Now, also, you guys made it into the knockout rounds after defeating Boston. So previous to this match, you guys were already in. But with today's win, the Los Angeles Gladiators actually secured a bye. How important is this bye for you and your team?
It's really important because we get to see how everyone else plays in the tournament and see probably who we want to pick or, you know, who we're going to match up against. And like, we played against a few teams that have gotten a variety of like Orisa or Rush comps. So this is just going to be an opportunity for us to see like what the other teams are playing that we haven't played against yet and kind of study everybody to guarantee our spot into Hawaii, basically.
True. And talking about other teams, you know, as Gladiators, as being one of the top teams in the June Joust tournament currently, which team do you think is the most underrated team?
The most underrated?
Underrated.
Ooh, the most underrated right now?
Right now.
The most underrated. Honestly, ooh, that's a tough question.
You have time, bro. Think about it. Think about it.
Oh my goodness, bro. Ooh.
I am loving that
I'd say like Washington, honestly. Right now, just Washington, because I saw they got upset like 2 times, but then their last match played was really, they played really good. So I think if, you know, Washington can tough through their mental and just kind of take this next match against Shock really serious and like try and play to win, I think that match is going to be a banger. So I'd keep an eye on them for sure.
Yeah, I think you know they did perform very well their last game, and from what I know, because Paris took a map from you, they're actually disqualified from the June Joust, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how it goes. But you know, like I do agree with you. I think Washington Justice is probably the most underrated team currently in the June Joust tournament. But Space, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for the interview, and good luck tomorrow. All right.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you a lot to Space. Congrats to the Gladiators. Let's take a look at the June Joust standings because, you know, this very match had major ramifications. With the Gladiators win, they're now guaranteed a bye in the knockout round, which happens tomorrow. And as one of the top 2 seeds, they will be sitting comfortable. As Space said, they now get to watch the other teams fight it out in that first round. Now, also, of course, Paris's loss means that Boston fans can celebrate as they are now in as well for the knockout rounds. And as mentioned at the very end, Gladio rubbed it in there as well. Of course, unfortunately, because they dropped that one map, that means that the Washington Justice are out. I know that you discussed it with Space right before the interview started, and the realization on his face that they ruined it for the Justice was gold. That was everything. He genuinely felt bad about it.
I should have told him before the interview. I'm sorry, Space. I feel bad for putting you on the spot like that, but
no, that was funny.
That's exactly how it happened.
Well, let's talk about the match we just watched. Yeah, sure, Gladiators took it. It was a really great and convincing performance from their team, but also on the other side, Paris Eternal. They continue to impress me. I feel like they've played some of the best Overwatch we've seen from them so far, and it's very, very impressive. I think Sideshow also mentioned it during the cast, that the fact that this team is just able to deal with the changes in their rosters so effortlessly, almost, actually even looking better now with a last-minute sign-up on their off-tank, that is very impressive. That is very, very impressive. They had a lot of great moments in that match, a lot of great team fights, and just unfortunately, in the end, Gladiators was the better team and they ran away with it.
Yeah, and I think that's what you need to take away from this. Obviously disappointing for Paris Eternal not to get this win. They had the fate of the June tournament in their hand. Unfortunately, they dropped it. But I don't think this is a slight. This isn't one of those matches where they lose and I think they can be like, man, we made so many mistakes. if anything, I think this is Los Angeles Gladiators playing with swagger, and I think this is a terrifying team heading into the playoffs because they're playing with confidence. And if you know anything about all of these players on the Gladiators, when they have confidence, they can do anything. We saw Birdering in this match going for flanking Widow shots. We have Space taking an off angle, just playing pretty much on an island on his own, living in the backline, unable to be punished. And then everyone else just firing on all cylinders. This shoe play that we saw here to clutch out this first point hold for the Gladiators was mental. Great play all round from the Gladiators, and they look comfortable in this meta as well, not only on this double shield stuff that I think they're heavily embodying, but also when they are able to play the rush with the Lucio Moira, very well rounded. I actually think they should be one of the favorites heading into this June tournament playoffs.
It's not the June tournament, because stop saying
I'm gonna make it a thing.
It's the June Joust.
No, it's the June tournament. Okay, sorry, it's the June Joust. It's my obligation.
It's gonna get into my head. I think I'm gonna say June tournament from now on too. Thanks, Costa. Thank you.
Sorry,
why
Danny.
the hate reinforce? I mean, it not being the actual name of it.
That could be why.
I mean, it sort of works, it's June Joust tournament, so if you want to shorten it, it's June tournament.
I'm a big fan of any kind of Archon situations with any word, so there is that. Now, let's talk about the match coming up, because that's going to be interesting as well. It is very simple for Dallas. If they're in, if they win, they're in that way around, inside the knockout rounds, at least for tomorrow. So the big question is, how can they get it done? What are you looking forward to seeing from the Dallas Fuel here at Reinforce?
Well, it was funny, Costa mentioned the swagger that the LA Gladiators have in their game currently, where they go for these big flanks, they go for the big plays, and it works out for them. I feel like I want to see that from the Dallas Fuel now. Obviously, I could ask for some versatility. They don't have to play the Echo Reaper composition to make it work against a team like the Vancouver Titans. But I just want to see big plays, really. I want to see this team go out there, have fun, and just mess with their opponents. Just play around with their food, really. Because the Dallas Fuel, they won the main melee, much because they had that swagger. They had that mojo. Starting with the knockouts, things really clicked for them. They ran over their opponents, the Shock, Houston Outlaws, 3-0 them both. But now in the June Joust, I almost said the June tournament. Now in the June Joust, they've lost a little bit of that. They lost to the San Francisco Shock, and they also had a pretty close series with the Florida Mayhem. Now, don't get me wrong. Dallas Fuel, they are a really good team, okay? They have a fantastic understanding of Overwatch. But like Costa mentioned, to top it off, that extra 5%, that extra 10% that is a difference maker, it is all about the mojo and all about that swagger and the ability to turn some of these team fights around based on individual performances. So that is what I'm looking out for at the Dallas Fuel. I want to see them come out, just destroy the Vancouver Titans, and do it in a glorious, fantastic way. That's what I'm looking out for.
So no hopes for breadsticks? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, you get a boop, maybe, Do you get multiple breadsticks if you get 2 boops? Like if you get 10 boops, like does all of Canada just have breadsticks?
Wait, does that breadstick still count?
I don't think they just hand out one single breadsstick. I think it's...
I hope so, Danny.
Oh.
Yeah, yes. Let's go with yes. It is time for Pringles' bold prediction. And, by process of elimination, Danny is the only one who wasn't bold. You've been... I don't want to say you've been close before, because you really weren't. But as we learned, if you go bold, you go bold.
Yes.
What you got for us today?
You guys want bold? I'll give you guys bold. You know what? You know, Johnny was talking about mojo. Dallas Fuel is not gonna have their mojo on this match. It's gonna be all Vancouver. Vancouver is gonna roll Dallas Fuel 3-0, and then because they it's like breadsticks, and what pairs well with breadsticks? It's chicken wings, right? So Vancouver's gonna 3-0, and then that will make Paris have a chance for the knockout round. That's gonna be my bold prediction. Breadsticks and chicken wings.
Oh, that's some mental gymnastics. Like, you gotta stretch before you say these things. I don't know.
I like that one.
I don't know about this
3-0, baby. Vancouver, let's go.
I just want to hand it over to our casters now, Mitch and Matt. Did he go too far again? I think the answer is yes.
Science has gone too far!
Prediction.
What is this, Daddy? What is this?
Hey,
that's
Overwatch. You never know what's gonna happen, right?
No,
guys?
you do. You do.
Yeah.
Some things are just not hashtag breadstickable, Danny. All right. Hold on. To be fair to Danny, BQB OG, Slime, and Checkmate all think the Titans can win.
no.
Checkmate!
Yeah, so
I trust that guy.
Checkmate, Johnny.
Yeah,
Checkmate took the Titans today. Your boy.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we need to check what Danny's getting delivered to the house. You know, some of the
Also, why is it chicken wings and breadsticks? Why? Who makes that combination?
Yeah, why? Yeah.
What?
People like, you dip the breadsticks in like the marinara
Marinara
sauce.
sauce,
Like, that's
yeah.
a combo.
No, you eat
He
carbs
dips
and
his
protein.
breadsticks
What are
in
you talking
chicken.
about?
Why not?
Chicken wings and breadsticks.
Who had chicken wings and breadsticks at the same time? Is that?
I do. You
Danny,
guys don't wait.
if-
You guys
if-
don't
if
eat
that
breadsticks
was-
and chicken. Wait, what?
Not
When
the
you
same
order
time.
Danny, when you get no,
No.
you don't at the same time. When you get chicken wings delivered, does it come with like celery sticks or just loads of breadsticks? What comes
Celery,
with it?
but no one eats celery. Who eats celery? So you chug that thing away, and you order breadsticks, or you eat pizza. You eat pizza, and the crust is like a breadstick. So you eat that with chicken.
It's not a breadstick.
Danny-
It's flat. It's not stick shape. It's round. What kind of stick is round? You know what? The only way I can be more tilted is actually if your prediction came true.
I think Zoe's just leaving. I think she's not even gonna say goodbye to us. I think she's just gonna.
Hey.
Are you gonna say goodbye to us,
No,
Zoe?
man, I'm out.
Say goodbye.
Protein and carbs. Protein and
All
carbs.
right.
You know, very well. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
listen, y'all can.
I think we're playing a
Y'all
game at
can
some
peepo
point.
leave. I am absolutely done with this platoon on the desk. All right, let's talk a little bit about the match here, Matthew. Dallasville Vancouver Titans.
Yeah.
Like we said, they've revolutionized the breadstick approach now by making it vastly easier to achieve the requisite conditions. Now, Fire has all this expectation on him. Now, Fire is the arbiter of the breadstick. He is the. I mean, he's the man that decides if people get their
The
carbs or
chosen
not.
one.
I mean, that is quite a
He is the
responsibility to
chosen one.
face here. You had to boot someone on the Dallas Fuel, man.
Yes. I love how we're not talking if the Titans can win. I think the bar has been set up. Can they get an environmental kill from a support to get breadsticks?
I didn't set that bar. I did not set that bar. The team literally decided.
I believe everybody just did. I believe everybody. The discussion was not whether they could win. Which, look, the Titans, they have not been good. We know that. They looked better in their match against the Shock, right? They ended up winning some fights. The Hanamura game, I believe, was pretty close if I remember correctly. So look, they're improving. It's just not at a rate that's going to catch them up to some of the upper echelon teams.
Well, that's always the trick, Matt, is that, season by season, all of our teams in the Overwatch League have improved. It's really a matter of how much you must improve to stay in step with the rest of the league. The Titans, in fairness, they start a little bit further behind because of how they had to rebuild their team essentially on the run last year. And they made some big acquisitions in the offseason, and I think we've got to see some of them shine here. I think Tero has looked incredibly good. He's displayed probably one of the single most insane individual moments on Genji on Junktown. But it's a team game. The Titans really need to get all their ducks in a row. The addition of Chungsik, Matt, doesn't make it any simpler, right? There's all this adjusting that this team has to do, but you have the example of the Paris Eternal to follow, who we just saw, right? A team who has managed to integrate multiple players on very short notice. That is what you need to aim for as the Titans. Not even just a series win here, but to demonstrate, first of all, you're mad about that very lackluster performance last week. You're here to improve. And you're hungry, not just for breadsticks, Matt. That's important, okay? You never
they just got to keep
diet,
spirits high.
Protein is a thing. Let's have a look at the Dallas Fuel, though, because it's been a little bit of a precarious run for them so far in the June Joust, Matt. Yeah, they're pretty well positioned to make it, but they've had some really difficult matchups, and the one against the Shock, I think, that's a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's a series that could have gone either way. It's a very close match. You see Fielder number 1 at our power rankings with IBM Watson in terms of supports. Everybody ranks up near the top, right? I mean, Fearless number 1, you have Sparkle number 2 in terms of damage dealers. That really, it's their run at the main melee that gives you a lot of confidence here in the June Joust that they can make another run yet again. You win this match, you end up in knockouts. Even at a higher seed than you went into knockouts the last time, right? They go into knockouts pretty much on the final day, making it by a lot of math to now having like a 4 or 5 seed potentially, right? As you go into the June Joust tournament. And of course, watching Dallas go up against, was it the Mayhem? It was the Mayhem, yeah. That was a really long series in which they played that same composition, right, Matt? It was a ton of, you saw the Winston Diva, the Echo, the Reaper, the Moira, the Lucio, and they just played it over and over and over and over and over again. Great practice, I think, against the Mirror because, you know, the Mayhem were also just intent on playing that composition and didn't switch. From the Titans, we may not see that. We might actually see a comparison of different styles here in different team compositions. Dalton starts in here for the Titans, who we've already seen a little bit of recently as well, but sort of at the start of the June Joust was much more Linkser. The Titans, though, really don't want to be without Teru here in that DPS role. And Chargsik, again, is continuing to be integrated into this roster, Matt.
Yeah, it's good to see what Dalton can bring to this team. Like you mentioned, we saw a lot of Linkser in the lineup. We know what Linkser can do. We've seen them pivot over the last 2 games or so now to Dalton to play some. We've seen good things. We saw good things from Dalton last year. I think for me, it's just can they play at a level that can beat a team like Dallas? I'm just not sure right now, and especially with Dallas having something on the line. The way a team like Vancouver gets a win